Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with round 5 of season 6 of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Yesterday we're here back for the duel in the Formula 1 crown. It's finally Monaco Grand Prix time, the race that generally can provide us with the best chance of a big result over the course of the year, obviously excluding safety cars and things like that. It's always a track that is very much down to the driver and a track that we are very strong at as well on F1 2020. But if you missed out the last race from the Spanish Grand Prix, what are you doing? Go back and check it out. It was arguably the biggest challenge we've had on F1 2020. It's in its entirety of the My Team Career Mode as well, so definitely want to go back and check out. Heading though into this weekend, more and more upgrades going on to the car. I think we've still got a couple more in the works. Unfortunately, the fuel injection system efficiency part has failed, so we will have to go with that and get it done ready for Baku. We currently have the weakest engine in Formula 1, which isn't too great. I mean, we've only got one more upgrade to go as well. There is quite a big one, so hopefully in a couple of races' time we can get that sorted as well. You can see currently performance-wise we're still sat right with AlphaTauri and Racing Point. The Mercedes still have a bit of an advantage at the top of your standings, but let's dive in then here, ready for the Monaco Grand Prix weekend. Right, here we are then, qualifying day for the Monaco Grand Prix, arguably the most exciting day on the F1 calendar here. Obviously qualifying dictates so much for the Grand Prix here tomorrow, and margins are tight. Q1, I think we ended up 11th, 6/10 off the fastest time there. Goes to show just the nature of qualifying around this circuit. I think we were like 3/10 off of P3. But Mercedes, as always, seem very fast over 1 lap pace. Might be the first weekend we've had in Europe that's actually dry so far this year. Obviously the other 2 races we've had have both been wet affairs still. But yeah, we'll wait and see as to what happens today. It's Jack Aitken in the Ferrari just in front of us. A little bit slow on the racing line. Give me a lot more dirty air than I want on this first run. Luckily, yeah, it's on the mediums just as we try to settle in. Can't see us getting through into Q3 on him. Getting a bit ridiculous from Jack Aitken. The fact he just hasn't moved out the way over the course of this lap. But he's going to give us some slipstream up towards the start-finish line. I'd rather not have the dirty air all the way around the lap, but out of the final corner, it's going to be an 8.6, only a 10th off. George Russell there, who's also gone on the mediums. Gasly does an 8.1. That was a lot better than I thought it would be. Unfortunately, though, as the clock ticks down towards 0 here, we are going to have to go for another run in qualifying, as we're just outside of the window at the moment. Charles Leclerc 11th, myself in P12. But obviously, we've now got a huge tyre advantage that we had in our first lap. Look at that, a 10.5 found through turn 1 already, just by being a lot braver. Hopefully this lap we can get hooked up and we can try and elevate ourselves up into Q3. In towards the final couple of corners, this has felt like a really hooked up lap at the moment. Can't afford to have a look at the delta to see where we're at. But out of the final turn, we're 1.1 up on our previous lap there. That's surely going to get us through into Q3. P2 in the end there. Very happy with that lap. Yeah, if we can set another mid-7, I would be pretty happy indeed. So there we go then, confirmation from Q2 there, and it was Danny Kvyat there, 15 thousandths ahead of myself, but unfortunately our teammate Charles Leclerc, no luck at the Monaco Grand Prix, continues this weekend. They're out in Q2, they're out by a fair margin as well there. He joins Gasly as well out in Q2, that's quite a hammer blow for the AlphaTauri man there. Perez, Albon, Max Verstappen and Raikkonen all out in Q2, they're both McLaren sneaking through into Q3, a good job done by them. But Mercedes as well, not looking particularly brilliant. They're down in 5th and 6th. I'm sure we'll see a bit more pace from them, though, in Q3. The highest we've started in qualifying, or the highest we've qualified, sorry, so far this year, has been P9. We started P8 in that Grand Prix because of it, because of penalties for everyone else. But surely this is a chance to really put the car towards the front of the order here. Maybe, just maybe, we can try and hook a good lap around the Monaco Grand Prix circuit. If we can get a sub 107.5, I would be very happy. But I can't help but feel like Mercedes are just conceding so, and then they're going to be able to get like a low 7, maybe even a 106 on the board at the end of the day. Through Upper Mirabeau, we are purple in Sector 1. Big kick of oversteer on the exit there as you try to get up into 3rd gear there, and that gives us a lot of understeer through the hairpin as well. So far this lap hasn't been bad, but hasn't been particularly brilliant either. Not quite as good as the lap I did in Q2, but we do get 2 shots at this, 2 bites at the cherry. So let's just wait and see Oh, I can't take a lot of curb through the chicane. But as we head down in towards Sector 3, down just the one gear through to back, then nudge the wall. Actually, that's going to give us a tiny bit of front wing damage, but not going to worry about that too much. Oh, that's not going to help, though. Even more front wing damage. May as well finish off the lap now. So we head through the final couple of corners. Let's just short shift up into third gear to avoid the wheel spin. Down towards start-finish line, then it's going to be a 108.2, which is still fastest at the moment, but definitely is not going to stay there. And I said about how Mercedes are probably going to find more pace, and boy, have they done so. George Russell on a 107.3 at this stage of the session there, so we've got one more lap to really try and make it count here around the Monaco Grand Prix circuit. Let's just see if we can put ourselves towards the front of the field there. Much better run through turn 1 there. We need about another second on this lap there to try and get ourselves towards pole position down through Casino Square. That was a bit tidier than our previous lap there. Huge amount of wheel spin, a lot of opposite lock on the exit, but we are purple at the end of Sector 1. Try to avoid the wheel spin again. They take a lot of curb through the hairpin. That felt a lot better than last time round as well there, as you're just trying to keep the nose rotated in through the corners there. Up in second that time round as we tried to give ourselves a better run, and already 4 tenths up as we head under the tunnel there, down in towards the chicane once again. Again, got to be brave with the amount of curb you take. That wasn't quite as good as last time around there. We throw away about 1/10 of a second. But down through to back, that was a lot better than last time round. Hopefully through the swimming pool chicane. Absolutely on a knife edge through there as you try and take the curb there. Actually wallop the wall on the exit there with the back wheel. So luckily no front wing damage. But in towards the final corner, Anthony Nogues. Power up to the line. It's going to be about a 6/10 improvement. Where is it going to leave us on the grid? P2. We start in the front row here in Monaco. That's what I'm talking about. Very, very happy with that one. George Russell is quite simply in a different league at the moment there. Pole position for the Monaco Grand Prix by 0.2 of a second over myself. 1.2 clear of his teammate Lewis Hamilton there. And yeah, I mean, a 107.3 is insane around this circuit there. We come through for P2. Lando Norris P3 though, so the 3 young Brits at the top of your order there. Jack Aitken down in 9th place alongside Hamilton there, but a mega job done by Guan Yu Zhou as well here at his first Monaco Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken. P4 on the grid there, ahead of Danny Kvyat, who splits the racing points there. Ocon, Hamilton, Aitken and Sainz round out your top 10. Let's dive in then, ready for the Monaco Grand Prix.
Nelson Piquet once said that driving the Circuit de Monaco was like riding a bicycle around your living room. And it's not hard to see what he means by that. There's no more prestigious a Grand Prix victory than Monaco, but also none so challenging. The astonishing Circuit de Monaco is, for all intents and purposes, virtually unchanged since its inaugural race back in 1929. The faster cars of today, though, ensure the 19 corners past the casino and along the seafront remain as thrilling as ever. A 2.1-mile lap here takes us around an entire country, yet never more than inches from the race-ending barriers. Joining me for the Grand Prix once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's discuss Haas. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. George Russell will begin today's event from pole position, and Mr. Monaco completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Zhou, Daniel Kvyat and Stroll, Hamilton, Aitken, Sainz and Sergio Perez, Leclerc, Albon, Max Verstappen and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Ocon. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Nicholas Latifi and Nobuharu Matsushita. De Vries, King, Gasly and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
It does still seem crazy that we're P3 in the championship after just how bad the opening 2 rounds of the year were for us, but nonetheless, here we are then ready on the grid for the Monaco Grand Prix, and with Pierre Gasly starting P21, I can only hope today we can move ourselves up into P2 of the Drivers' Championship there. Going to be a long old race ahead of us, though, around the streets of Monaco. I'm sure there's going to be a safety car or two as well. Their reliability has always been a thing around this track as well on F1 at 2021. But the soft to the medium strat is the way we're going here today. Maybe, just maybe, if George Russell bottles his start, we can have a look down in towards turn 1. But I'm expecting him to sail off into the sunset like we've seen so many times before early on in this World Championship. Ready, though, on the grid for the Monaco Grand Prix. It is 5 red lights. And it is lights out, and away we go. And George, rather unsurprisingly, does not bottle his start there. Lando Norris gets off to a worldie down towards turn 1, but completely compromises his exit. So we'll get the switch back on him. A little bit of a scare there as we head up the hill for the first time. But I think we nudged the wall down towards turn 1. I think we got away with no damage. Oh, slight green damage, so that shouldn't cost us too much over the first stint of the Grand Prix. But yeah, George Russell there, exiting Sector 1. 1.7 seconds clear here in the Monaco Grand Prix. Are we going to see our typical concertina and up from the cars behind? Yes, of course we are, as we head down through Portier for the first time in this Grand Prix. But yeah, George Russell, are we going to see him check out today, or are we going to be able to match the Mercedes man over the course of a race distance? It's going to be very, very difficult to do there, as that was a bit aggressive over the curbs first time through. But of course, this track all about just sort of slowly getting yourself up to pace, getting yourself up to speed as well. It was critical we stayed ahead of Norris at the start of this Grand Prix, because George and I could potentially open up a lot of strategy later on down the line. I feel like he's going to romp away. We might be able to as well, because that McLaren behind is not particularly quick. Coming towards the end of lap 2 then. George Russell slowly inching away from us still at the start of this Grand Prix. He sets a 10.2, we set a 10.5. The fact in in race trim that was still setting almost sub 70-second laps here is absolutely ridiculous with a full tank of fuel on board. But we're also gapping Norris as well, which is really important at the start of this race. So hopefully, yeah, we can keep the tyres in good shape, ready for the first and hopefully only round of stops. Already on to lap 5 of the Grand Prix, and you can see the gap in the top 5 is really spreading out already there. Russell just still, yeah, inching away sort of 3-4 tenths a lap over us early on. We're doing a bit more on the gap to Lando Norris behind there. The gap almost up to 4 seconds now already in this Grand Prix. But again, it just comes down to how well we can keep the tyres in good nick there in the first stint, because we know there'll be guys on the mediums starting outside the top 10 that it's highly unlikely Russell and I will get ahead of unless we stay out really far into the Grand Prix. So maybe, just maybe, if Russell has to pit a bit early, get stuck behind a couple of people, we can then try and go for a really long overcut on him and move ourselves up into the lead. However, of course, on the opposite hand, Russell might pit and we might already have the gap over all the guys we need to.
A new strategy is available on the MFD.
Oh, team already recommending a new strat in this Grand Prix. Let's see what that is and whether it's going to make any sense. It don't really make much difference. We'll say yeah, but I'll still pit when I need to. This is one of the really cool things as well on F1 2020. You head back down through turn 1, you can hear all the cars rumbling through to back as well there. It's like the same with the radio messages as you go through the tunnel, all getting all hazy. Very, very annoying that, I'll be honest, but still, you know, a nice little feature to have as we all get a little bit out of shape through Upper Mirabeau. Come on, get back in focus, Matt. That's interesting then. Leading Charles by about 17 seconds in this Grand Prix. Can't remember how long a pit stop takes around here, but I think George might be pretty much ahead of all the guys that might be on mediums. Pretty much anyone that started outside the top 10 normally goes for it, but you never know for sure. I'm wondering if George Russell has got a small issue here somewhere, because we've just gained a load of time on him on the last lap. Either that or he made a bit of a mistake on that run, but you can just see through the first couple of corners we do take a bit of time out of him when we're not making any mistakes. I mean, it's light green damage, Jeff. It's not the end of the world, mate. No, don't want neutral though. Come on, get the gear in. Right, are we going to see moment of truth time then in this Grand Prix? Is George Russell going to come in? No, he's not. George Russell going to go another lap as well then in this Monaco Grand Prix. Don't think either of us need to really worry about getting undercut in this race. There, the gap 10 seconds now to Lando Norris, but the team want us into the end of this one. If Russell comes in, we're going to try and extend the stint a bit more. as I think Capure in P4 has dived in. I think, therefore, it must have been Guan Yu Zhou that dived in a lap before, and he came out, actually in some clear air here, but he's probably going to get held up by the likes of the Alfa Romeos pretty soon. That's what I mean in this Grand Prix as well. There you can see Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc started just outside the top 10. They're both on mediums in this race, but I mean, yeah, George Russell's 22 seconds ahead of them, so he might be clear. We are probably going to be pretty close as well. There is a big lockup down through the chicane. Round in the final couple of corners, these tyres are definitely starting to go off, but is George Russell going to pit in this Monaco Grand Prix? Yes, he is. And now the interesting thing becomes, where will he re-emerge in this race? We're not really pulling away from Sergio Perez much anymore, so we have got to be careful that we don't potentially make ourselves vulnerable when we do finally make our stop by overextending this first stint. But I think Russell's going to be way clear of the rest of that group. Yeah, look at that. He's already on his way out of the pit lane. It's not even going to be close. George Russell clear back up into P2 of this race, but it is going to be close between myself and Perez. Coming around the final couple of corners of lap 13, already at third race distance in this Grand Prix, but we're definitely going to pit now. Make sure we're not too vulnerable from those guys behind towards the end of the race. Oh, so much understeer. So you head through La Rascasse there. Big kick of oversteer as well as we head in towards the pit lane. But where are we going to re-emerge then in this Monaco Grand Prix? The team better not be changing the wing. They better not be changing that front wing, I don't think. Oh no, don't say they got the front wing ready. Why? Why is there a front wing ready? We are going to now be in behind that little pack of cars. I think we're still going to be in net P2 of the Grand Prix. There's a Williams really high up on the order as well. We need to be out ahead of Albon. We need to be ahead of Albon in this race. Heading back out of the pit lane. It's going to be very, very close to myself and the Red Bull. I think we've just about done enough. Yes, we have. Why on earth did the team think a front wing change was necessary there? But it's not the end of the world. We're still in net P2 at the moment. And these tyres, my God, have so much grip on them. I'm having to second guess myself a lot. Already in this race now, we're all over the back of Max Verstappen here. We might need to try and go for a dive down in towards the chicane there, but with a very, very weak power unit underneath us, trying to get a big run on someone. Might be easier said than done here. We'll try and use some overtake, use some rich revs, just test the water, see what it's like. Yeah, there's no chance we're getting close enough to Max Verstappen into here to go for anything just yet in the Grand Prix, so we might have to just sit back. Got so much more grip though than the Ferrari. You'll be able to see just through here how much extra momentum we're able to carry despite all the dirty air all over the back of Max Verstappen. Oh, nudge the wall again. That's going to be more light wing damage. That's not quite what we wanted, but we'll have a look around the outside through La Rascasse. No, we won't. Verstappen tries to slam the door there. Can we get a good run out of the final corner? We'll use our overtake mode again there, and this time around we might get a bit of a run on the Ferrari man. Up the inside, down in towards turn 1. A big old dive, but we're given the room, and we're now back up into P4 of the Monaco Grand Prix there. Not the most decisive move in the world, but still a good one to pull off, especially on our former teammate, who, of course, ruined our Australian Grand Prix.
Okay, gap ahead is 2.4 seconds.
Right, now all over the back of our teammate Charles Leclerc, round the outside through Lowe's. Almost round the outside of our teammate through the hairpin there. I was almost lost for words in that one instance there, but I just realised as well, we actually did the Max Verstappen dive bomb on Max Verstappen, the one he couldn't pull off. Of course, way back now in the 2015 Monaco Grand Prix. I could tell that was going to happen before I even did it, and Verstappen runs into the back of me as well. So he's going to have no front wing now. We get a warning for that. Fair enough, don't think there was anywhere we could go in that situation. But that's going to set us about 5 seconds back from those guys. Come on, Max. I know you've now got a huge amount of front wing damage, but again, I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. Round the outside through the hairpin. We'll see you later on, mate. Again, I would normally feel pretty disappointed for someone there, especially making that sort of mistake, but after what Max did to us in Australia, yeah, he can go into the pit lane. Oh, there we go. Perez and Leclerc diving into the pit lane there, just as I was getting worried about having to overtake him again in this Grand Prix. But is this going to be a new fastest lap? Oh, 109.9. That's what I love to see here in the Monaco Grand Prix. New fast lap of the day. That is definitely a new lap record as well in comparison to real life Formula 1. But you can have a look now in the running order. Raikkonen up into P3 there. I think it was Latifi now into P4 of the race as well. But George Russell 20 seconds up the road at this stage of the day. We got Lando Norris, who we were battling out with 13 seconds back as well. Yeah, we're only at half distance, but unless we get a safety car, I think we're pretty much settled in now. Oh, we got yellow flags out in the Monaco Grand Prix. Are we going to potentially now see a bit of a shake-up in this race? I think it's one of the Ferraris going slowly. Not 100% sure, though, who it is. I think, would it be... would it be Jack Aitken? I'd almost forgot who Max Verstappen's teammate was there. I think it is Jack Aitken who might be falling to the wayside here. No, it's Verstappen! And that's going to bring out a safety car in the Monaco Grand Prix there. We could go softs to the end. I'm tempted to gamble it. I think it's worth a gamble at this stage. We're definitely going to stay ahead of Lando Norris. We may as well see if we can get the jump on George Russell off the restart with a pace advantage. And see if we can hold on. Unless, of course, George does the same thing as us. I was just saying now, nothing would probably change in this race unless we got a safety car. And 5 laps later, there we go. This time around, of course, we might as well get the front wing changed. Because we're definitely going to stay ahead of Lando Norris and Guan Yu Zhou in this Grand Prix. Heading down in towards the final corner. There we go. Safety car now, you can catch the queue. Make sure we don't speed into the pit lane either. But yeah, we should be comfortably out ahead of Lando Norris in this Grand Prix. Saying that though, now everyone's up to race pace again. We might just come out ahead of Guan Yu Zhou and not Lando here. We'll have to wait and see as to how things pan out. Unless we've made a catastrophic calculation error in this Grand Prix. I think we might have done. Lando Norris is definitely going to get ahead of us. Come on, get on with it. 8.8, pick a gear. No. I think we might have just messed this up royally in this Monaco Grand Prix. We're going to rejoin out in P7 here, not P2, like I'd originally anticipated. We're going to need an overtaking spree in the latter stages of this race. I cannot believe I've just done that. That is proper Hamilton 2015-esque from myself and the team there, throwing away potentially a big haul of points, unless we can climb our way back through. We need to keep the tyres in good nick as well over these safety car laps, but yeah, then we're going to have to be brave towards the end there. Hassle also between the front runners and the George Russell and the rest of the front runners. Right, well, with 11 laps to go then, the safety car is going to be coming in at the end of this lap in the Monaco Grand Prix, and we need to be brave of the restart here. Really try and get into a groove quickly and see if we can try and make some moves work. First up is, of course, Lance Stroll. Let's just wait and see out of the final corner. Not the best run in the world there, as we're just trying to put some heat into the rubber. But hopefully, yeah, we can try and move past these guys nice and quickly. They're on much, much older, much slower tyres around this track. But, of course, most guys have got enough engine power to keep themselves in front down the straight. We need to get this rubber up to temperature, though, like I said, get it worn in. And now you can already see that's starting to come into effect there. Stroll just kicking out the back end with a bit of oversteer. And I'll be able to get close enough to Sir Lancelot. Oh, nowhere to go there. Around the outside through Lowe's. We'll try and line up for the move. And look at that, we've got so much extra grip there. We do get right around the outside through there. And now back up into P6 of the Grand Prix. Overtakes can definitely be made here, as hopefully we'll also get the Haas cars out of the way as well over the next couple of laps. I think Nick de Vries has already let Lando Norris by. Where is he going to let the rest of us through? Hamilton. Oh, what's that from Lewis Hamilton? Big kick of oversteer as he tries to put the power down. Has that given us a bit of front wing damage in this Grand Prix? No. So I don't know why the team are recommending a new strat. But as we head down in towards Larascas, around the outside of Hamilton, it will give us the room. Through Anthony Noakes, we'll get shown the wall, but we do get, again, just enough room on the exit of the corner there. We'll have some slipstream. We might have to go for a send back down in towards turn 1. Hamilton, oh, big old defensive squeeze. Stroll goes into the side of us on the exit, but we do somehow hold on. Team, I think, want us in at the end of this one. That's definitely not happening, as I think Lance Stroll might have just picked up a bit of front wing damage from Hamilton and I's squabble. But can we get close enough to Lewis? Oh, we thought about it up the inside there, but thought better of it. Not brave enough to go for a move. Up the inside in towards Lowe's. Big old dive. Get it slowed down on the apex. And show Hamilton the outside as we're now up into P5 of the Monaco Grand Prix. An aggressive move, but a move we pulled off. Guan Yu Zhou could be out here to make history for China in the world of Formula 1. There may be the first ever Chinese driver to score a podium in this sport. Are we going to see Magnussen get out of the way for all of us as we head back down towards turn 1? just about there. I wasn't fully confident in Magnussen in that moment, but Haas, yeah, have had a shocker of a weekend. They're basically a lap down to everyone now with the safety car timing, but they were a long way off anyway. Are we close enough to Danny Kvyat to go over anything? So he gets a little bit of wheel spin up the inside in towards Mirabeau. Big old dive again, but we've pulled it off. We're having to be brave, having to be maybe even just a little bit stupid to go for a couple of these, as Guan Yu Zhou does almost give us the room on the exit of the hairpin, but he didn't need to. On to lap 32 of this Grand Prix. Nick de Vries nowhere to go at this stage of the day there. Is Guan Yu Zhou going to be able to get around the outside through Casino Square? No, he is not. De Vries finally does get out of the way, though, as Guan Yu Zhou is going to be vulnerable. Up the inside we go again, as everyone's trying to get around everyone at the moment. We pull off the move on Guan Yu Zhou and back him into the podium places in this Monaco Grand Prix. I want to at least walk away with a trophy here. But can we close up the gap to Lando Norris? Or even more importantly, could we still take the gap out of George Russell there? He might be too far up the road, 8.6 clear, but Lando is certainly still catchable. All over the back now of Lando Norris, just one lap later. That McLaren is sort of sitting in no man's land at the moment, but we have definitely got a huge pace advantage over him nonetheless. Can we get a good run out into the tunnel there? We're staying a lot closer to Lando than we have done a lot of other cars. 3/10 back, though, as we head in towards the chicane. Not quite going to be able to make anything work this time round, as we just have to sit behind. Maybe we can try and have a look for something down into La Rascasse, because all I'm thinking is every second we sit behind Lando is potentially time we're losing out trying to close up to the back of George Russell in this Grand Prix. It is looking like it's going to be a Brit 1, 2, 3, unless something goes wrong. Lando a bit slow. Round the outside through La Rascasse. We'll try and hold on. Oh, a bit of contact between myself and the McLaren man, but we do hold on. And we're now back up to where we were in this Grand Prix, back up into P2, which is at least damage limitation. But can we close up to George Russell before the end of the Grand Prix? The gap's 7.5. We've got 7 laps to do so. New fast lap of the Grand Prix, but huge amount of wheel spin through turn 1. I think we're just going to have to call it a day and settle into P2 here. We've got everything back that we did lose from that pit stop. Yeah, these tyres. Oh, what's wrong with these tyres? Haven't had that in a long time on F1 2020. I think we've absolutely cooked them. So yeah, we just need to bring it home, I think. Oh no!
DRS is offline. The rear wing is down, so you can stay out while we work on a fix.
I don't think that's going to change much in this Grand Prix, I'll be honest. I'm not a betting man, but with 2 laps to go and no one within DRS range, I can't see that being a huge issue. As long as it's, well, like I said, as long as it's down. We have had it up before the Monaco Grand Prix, stuck open, which was not fun. But yeah, that's not going to worry me. Oh, we got more yellow flags out. With just 1 lap to go of the Monaco Grand Prix. Is there going to be some disappointment for someone? It's the other Ferrari. Jack Aitken is falling to the wayside in the Monaco Grand Prix there. So heartbreak for Ferrari. They're going to walk away from this race with absolutely nothing at all there. And Jack Aitken was on for his 2nd points of his Formula 1 career as well there. And how great would that have been for him in this race? Of course, no time for another safety car here. But heartbreak. Poor Jack Aitken out of the Monaco Grand Prix there as he watches on 3 of F1's other young Brits. 1st, 2nd and 3rd at the moment there. Hamilton's still somewhere in this Grand Prix. I think Hamilton's in last in this Grand Prix. Or P80 now it would be, obviously ahead of both the Haas cars. But I cannot believe both Ferraris fall to the wayside with reliability issues here in Monaco. What a disappointing end to this race for that team there. Showed so much promise over the last couple of Grand Prix. Really did feel like they started to make some progress, especially with Max Verstappen's brilliant result at Zandvoort. But in towards the final couple of corners of the Monaco Grand Prix, George Russell, once again, a class of his own this weekend there. A brilliant result done by him and Mercedes. Another win on the board and a big championship extension for him. But round in the final corner, we're going to move up into P2 of the World Championship. 3rd podium in a row, but things are bound to get tougher.
Great work. Well done. We're really happy with the podium here.
That's it then for another nail-biting Monaco Grand Prix. We were on the edge of our seats the whole time, but they've come through to take a stunning victory. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. Let's see how the driver standings have changed. That lead at the top of the table has shrunk somewhat today. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
There's a few contenders, but George Russell definitely stood out, I think. A really solid drive from him today, and one I'm sure the fans enjoyed.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. There was also a strong showing from the Mclaren team today as they make their way up the standings. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the Monaco Grand Prix. And yeah, like we said, George Russell, a deserving driver of the day there. Pole position, led all but one lap of that Grand Prix as well. They didn't quite get fastest lap, obviously we messed that up for him in the end. But 25 points on the board, he extends his championship lead as well. Nothing can be said about George Russell, he is looking dominant early on this year there. We come through for P2, like we said, Lando Norris in P3 there, so Brits 1, 2 and 3 at the end of the day. They're a really good result for us. Guan Yu Zhou, a brilliant result as well for him, up in P4, his career best in Formula 1 ahead of Danny Kvyat. Hamilton did come through for P6, I don't know why I thought he was at the back of the pack in the latter stages of the race, ahead of Lance Stroll. Perez, Sainz and Leclerc, he did finally scrape a point in the end there, his first points finish actually in the Monaco Grand Prix as well there. Albon just misses out there ahead of Giovinazzi again. Another good job done by him and Williams in P12. Raikkonen, Latifi, then you got Gasly, both Alphas. The Red Bull of Esteban Ocon there made no impression this weekend. Both Haas, and then obviously both Ferraris not making it to the checkered flag. Championship-wise, like I said, we move up into P2 there. We've got 2 Brits, then 2 Frenchmen at the top of the running order at the moment there. 16 points back, though, from George Russell there. 16 ahead of Pierre Gasly. Ocon, like we said, up into P4 there. Stroll 5th. Danny Kvyat, that good result moves him up into 6th there ahead of Lando. And Lewis Charlotte down into 9th place there ahead of Perez. Albon there with Guan Yu Zhou leapfrogging his way all the way up into P12 ahead of Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. Raikkonen and Jack Aitken there, and it is just the backmarker cars still yet to score points at the start of the year. Constructors-wise, we're up still in P2. 17 back from Mercedes as well. There are now 9 clear of, 11 clear even, I should say, of AlphaTauri there. Red Bull still hanging on to P4, ahead of Racing Point there. McLaren get the jump on Renault, and Ferrari still last of the non-backmarker cars as well at this stage of the year. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, ready for round 6 of Season 6 here. We head back to Baku. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.